Post game Penn State Washington video and recap. So Penn State was able to come away with a 35-28 win over Washington in a game that was pretty good. It was a game till the end of the final play. Washington, a decent football team. They're number 11. 10-2 for them. They're going to finish 10-3. They should. It shouldn't be something that should hang their heads on. I think it was a very good year for them. For the second year in a row, I think Chris Peterson's done a very good job with that program. But Penn State was, I think, the better team, and I think the better team clearly won this game today. As Penn State came out, they looked real good starting. Washington really was not doing much. Penn State was up 14-0. Washington had that backwards play, and then they threw it down deep, kind of like a screen, like a weird, like kind of just like a weird play, but it got him back. It got him down to like the 10-yard line, and then it put him right in business. Converted like the next play for a touchdown. Then Penn State was able to get up 28-7 with that touchdown run. It really looked like they were in good control, but a few turnovers, made the game a little bit closer than it probably should have been. Penn State had some weird fumble. It got to 28-14 at halftime. But at that point, I was still thinking, Penn State would probably be able to come away with a pretty comfortable victory. But I mean, I kind of knew that if you would have asked me when it was 28-7, what the game would have been, I kind of had to figure that Washington really wasn't going to be playing that bad that long. That the receivers weren't going to would begin to get open. They would begin to establish a run. I think they started to kind of just do the simple things on that last drive where they got the touchdown. They started to get like short, kind of simple plays because that's all Penn State was giving them today. And then Penn State got up 35-21, and then the play that kind of made the game a lot closer and kind of let Washington back in it, and the reason why this game was a one score was because it was 35-21. Penn State was at like the 15-yard line. They were driving in, and then McSorley that got deflected, went up like 10 feet in the air, and Washington picked it off. Where Penn State was probably very likely to get a touchdown on that drive and put this game at 42-21, and clearly out of reach. And and then Washington came down, got a touchdown, and they made it a little bit of a game. Penn State missed a field goal, and then Penn State had that fumble early on, and they also had that pick. But the pick, it is what it is. It was a toss up ball. It wasn't a bad decision by McSorley. It's just they throw that stuff up there all the time, and it was just bound to get picked off sometimes, and that's what happened on that play. The fumble. The ball bounced Washington's way for in the game, but honestly, from a statistical standpoint, this game probably should have been like 42-24, 42-28 kind of game where Penn State just kind of just comes out and they just kind of played pretty solid. Overall, Washington really wasn't able to establish much consistency offensively. They got some big plays, that big run. They had that big play, and then they had two nice drives where they just marched down. But overall they had a couple big plays, and they weren't really able to do much else. Browning wasn't able to hit his receivers very well. Penn State got some pressure on him, and they either weren't open or he was under too much pressure. The running game, Gaskins won, but other than that, it really wasn't much. Offensively for Penn State, Barkley did decent. He had like 140 yards. He had that huge one that he ripped, and that one was a big one. And McSorley played very well. I know he had two picks, but the one was just a fluke play. It wasn't a fluke play, but it was something that it was kind of like, well, whatever. Like what can you do about it? Another one was just he threw it out there and it got picked. It's whatever. It wasn't a bad throw. It just wasn't. It wasn't perfect. And then but I mean, he was able to hit his guys. They were great on third down because it was third and manageable. The line protected them very well. Or normally, like their third and downs are like third and 15. They were able to do very well through the passing game. Juwan Johnson played very well. Tompkins played very well. Gesicki had a nice final game along with Deshaun Hamilton, who was probably the best receiver with 110 yards, and he's going to be leaving obviously as a senior. Just a very good player. Uh, the passing game was great. It's been good all year, and the running game was better than it has been. And I kind of thought it would be. I didn't think the O line would be that big of an issue. I mean, coming into the game, I thought this could be back and forth if Washington could put up some points, but it technically was a game to the end final play, but this wasn't a back and forth game where it's like ooh, Washington might win. It was kind of like we're gonna lose. It was kind of like Penn State's got this in the bag, and Penn State was kind of like waiting for that play to cap it off. And I think, in a fair world, I think Penn State wins this game by 14, maybe even 17 or 18 points. Uh, in a game that they were clearly outplayed Washington with the passing game. And I said the difference in the game would be the receivers, and I still think that was the difference. Uh, and okay, so there were two big differences. One was Penn State's receivers were able to get consistently open more. And number two, when under pressure, Chase McSorley was able to get out of the pocket and make plays where Jake Browning had to throw it away or get sacked. And that's the difference right there. Uh, and Penn State was able to consistently run the ball slightly better. But those were the two main reasons. I think McSorley was able to get out of the pocket, make more plays, and I think Penn State's receivers were able to get behind Washington and be able to get open all the time without any problem. I think this team moving forward is looking pretty good. I know that they may not be quite the team they were this year. They may be able to be a 10-win team next year in the regular season, be 10-2. Even better, the schedule looks it doesn't look easy, but a lot of those hard games are at home, like Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Michigan State. They got to go to Michigan, but other than that, they don't really have to travel to a lot of major for a lot of major games next year. I mean, they're gonna have McSorley back. They're gonna have Tompkins. They're gonna have Johnson. So I mean, as long as you have McSorley, I mean, he's a very valuable player to the team. He can get out of the pocket. He can make plays. I think they're gonna have enough of a receiving core that it may not be as deep as this year's, but they still have Johnson. They're gonna have Tompkins who make plays, and they're not gonna have Gesicki or Hamilton, but if they can develop Justin Shorter is coming in. They got KJ Hamler, Mac Hippenhacker, whatever his name is. If one of those guys can step up, kind of like how Juan Johnson did this year, it could be like Juan Johnson is like how Hamilton was this year, or Juan Johnson can be Juan Johnson, Tompkins can be Tompkins, and then if somebody can take over what Hamilton did and kind of be like how Juan Johnson replaced Chris Godwin, if we can like have that, that would be good. Justin Shorter, 6'4", really fast, strong. He looks like the real deal, man. The O line's going to return a lot. It's going to return Chaz Wright, Ryan Bates, McGovern, Gonzalez, and Will Fries. There's your five right there. I think that's what it's going to be. You're going to have Matt, getting in the rotation, some other guys. I think the O line's going to be the best it's been since Franklin's been there. Cornerback, you're going to have John Reed coming back from injury. Safety's an issue. Linebacker's an issue. You only have Kyle Farmer coming back. You're losing Kabinda. Manny Bowden got kicked off the team. The front four, I think, is going to be fine. You're losing both Cothrans, but you're going to have Shane Simmons that you can move him in to tackle. You're going to have Kevin Givens, a good player. And you're going to have Sharif Miller, Ryan Buchholz on the outside, all those kind of guys. So and you're going to have Mikal Parsons, which is a big addition, I think. And I feel like this team, if they had this amount of losses a few years ago, it would be scary. But they have a lot of depth, and a lot of these guys that are going to be filling in, like Kevin Givens replacing Cothran, that's not a that's not a big deal. Like it's not a big deal. And the reason is because like they both got a lot of playing time this year, and there's really not that big of a difference. And you look at maybe um with the wide receiver core, that's not gonna. I mean, they can develop somebody that can be okay and get open and do some stuff. Same thing with at cornerback. Amani Uarie or Lamont Wade or Tariq Castro Fields. That there's not a big drop off between